Hello, baby gangsters. This is Calvin, also known as Wormer, and this is my first ever playthrough of the Stanley Parable 2. And I don't know exactly what endings we're going for today, but I also wanted to say that when it comes to the epilogue, what I'm going to do is, because I think the epilogue will, definitely add a lot to the game as well. So I'm going to play through the other endings. I'm going to do the epilogue, and that doesn't mean we're finished with the Stanley Parable, because I still think there's a lot of little small things we can do. So I'm not just going to abandon the game. It's not just going to be a thing where it's like, oh, we've done the epilogue, see you later. We'll definitely check out some other stuff, even if it's only small, tiny things, just for a bit of fun as well.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
So
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley's
another line about the bucket.
The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to try the escape route, which means we have to go up into the office, and head towards that direction. And yeah, the escape route's on the way to the mind control facility, right? I think so. So we'll go do the escape route. But this time we'll do it with the bucket. There's two things we can do in that place as well, actually, by the way. With the escape route, we can do the escape route with the bucket, and we can also jump over the edge. Remember, that was an ending too, with the different song. We can do that too. But I have a feeling that the escape route is probably going to be the chunkiest of the two there. And there's also, of course, the broom closet, which again, we can I do that as well. But I think I'm going to do the chunkiest one first. And I definitely think out of the three ones I'm thinking of now, that would be the chunkiest one, right? That would be the chunky side of things. Because it was chunky last time. I got a feeling that money's for stealing, but no, yeah, that they said this before as well, yeah. So let's head now in here again. Oh, we also have the elevator ending too, so maybe we can do the elevator. Yeah, there's so many things we can do.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket?
See, and this is what's crazy about this as well. We said this before, but now instead of him going oh, you're impatient, it's oh, the bucket was able to reveal all this stuff. Everything's cool. The bucket's amazing, instead of calling us impatient.
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Sure. Yeah, what I mean is we can go up and down the elevator, but for now I want to go do the escape route. I've been having a good time in the sequel. I actually think that it's made me going from really loving the game.
The elevator raced downward
to being
towards an unknown fate.
I don't know, deeply locked in with my admiration for this game.
Together, if not for the bucket, soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in
there's more things about the bucket here as well.
He would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley.
Thank you, bucket.
Everything will be fine.
So in the other one, we'd have to usually press the up button right now, but we're going to go towards the escape route now. I wonder if we're going to hear the other narrator again.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Or did he?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
This hallway's really well designed. It's so spooky.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death.
And it's adding the bucket to it as well. Yeah, the bucket is our pal. It is the thing that we need. It's the thing that gives us purpose. It's us and the bucket. It's no longer just Stanley going to his death. It's us and the bucket together. The bucket actually helped you see kind of a shadow there as well, see more of what was going down there. So the bucket actually did help us there. Oh, this again. Oh, it's going to be different dialogue this time, right?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket.
Right.
But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to
Oh my God.
This is what Stanley thought to himself. And he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere.
This is such a great addition to this.
Stanley.
This is so good. It stopped again.
Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, the other
cried
narrator.
as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Looks pretty good to me. I know we're back on this route as well. The reason why I think that's a great addition to the game, having the narrator now talk about how like the bucket was kind of meaningless to us, is because like I think it is like in some cases the bucket is kind of like, as we said, like it is like a drug sometimes. It is like something that is like, I even said it was a wedge between us and the narrator. It's something that like draws us to it, like the One Ring itself, right? But I think also what's so great to phrase this is like, it's like, yeah, this thing can be comforting and this thing can satiate us and this thing can keep us like, you know, here and keep us like happy and keep us like content. Like, and I think the bird ending is like a perfect example of that, where it's like the bird ending is kind of this thing where it's like, look, everything's okay, it's birds. Or when we try to escape, it's like, no, I don't want to leave because I love the bucket. Like the bucket comforts us, right? And in this moment, we're about to die. We're about to be crushed. Stanley is about to die, like legitimately. What good is the bucket? What good is a comfort if it doesn't actually keep you legitimately, literally safe, you know? And it kind of like brings up the idea, like, is the bucket something that just comforts us and like satiates us, or is it something that actually is like a protective thing? And that, again, if you want to bring up the idea of like, to me, us being addicted to the bucket, we saw that before with the guy on the tape when he talked about that monster as well. Is it a case that like our like addiction to the bucket and our love for our addiction for this bucket, right, is like kind of like, it's addictive, but in no way is it actually helping us. And that's why we had that intervention in the last episode as well. It makes us feel good in the moment. Oh, God.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent
I know it's only talking about the bucket, not Stanley.
It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above
What?
the rest. It was a glorious bucket.
Even
to
the other
behold.
narrators talk about the bucket. Oh my God, that's so bright. When we come out of the darkness, that's so bright. Holy hell. I hope you're not watching this on like a brightness setting turned up. Oh my God, the bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge, much like a bucket itself. The human mind is frequently empty within, a carnivorous void. But through the use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full of enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you in the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in the exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of the exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were in ignorance and darkness? So, what they're saying, again, once again, like making the bucket seem absolutely incredible. This is enriched. It's so substantial. The bucket and the history of the knowledge is it's here, like the knowledge of the bucket is the history is the only true knowledge we have. So it's like really the only thing that's real is the bucket. What else is real? And it's like, will we use this to like, you know, will we ignore it or will we use it to enrich our own lives? Again, the bucket being such a big part of this narrator and our lives, and the narrator is like, oh my God, all the different buckets.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Like the narrator talked about how like even though the bucket was like ours to like to satiate us, was ours to make ourselves happy, like the narrator's like, you thought that you deserved that bucket? You thought that you're selfish enough to think that that bucket is yours? That you're even good enough to be around the bucket? A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to many buckets at once. And we know the buckets do make people feel euphoria. Us. At one point, the narrator, the guy in the tape, Mariella, they all love their buckets. They loved them so much. A bucket with two handles, this is an anomaly. And it's like done like Leonardo da Vinci's drawings. The bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. So the bucket is so perfect that it needs to just stay the way it is. You know what that reminds me of? Like the Monty Python sketch, you know, the two sheds? Where they interview a guy who has two sheds instead of one. It's like, oh, I got two handles on my bucket. Interesting, you know? That's such an interesting thing to say. It's a great sketch. Not a big fan of every Python member now. But at one point as a kid, I definitely loved Monty Python. Inferno Bucket. A replica of the Inferno Bucket, which is in the medieval era, was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war. with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of all of it, the simple fact remains no one can control a bucket. And again, while I think that some of this is going to be definitely like, hammed up, as to be kind of like the punchline of a joke that's kind of like the bucket's more important than anything in the world. The bucket is the most important thing. Maybe even to get into our head to how important the bucket is. I do think that some of these lines will be super important, like literally, like no one can control a bucket. We couldn't throw the bucket into that destroyer. The bucket controls us. The stress bucket, an analogy. So worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance, and the vulnerability and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies equals holes. The rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy is rest and relaxation. Stress level of the water in the bucket. Okay. So it's like carrying all the stress with you in the bucket? Yeah, presented without commentary. Yeah, maybe you should present with commentary. I like the illustrations, though. It's really cool that they redid a lot of the stuff here. Check over here. Jesus Christ. The bucket was around for this long. The bucket was what people drew on walls. Cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical use of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Noticing these drawings that the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. And again, it's like a rewriting of history, right? That like it's just inserting the bucket into like different stages, where it'd be like the Da Vinci drawing, or now the cavemen would realize how you could use a bucket, and all of a sudden it became like the most important invention in the world. Even the deer were like, wow, a bucket. Like it really, like it's like, oh my God, like look at this. What are we gonna do? There's water coming into our cave. Wait, we have a bucket. The bucket is amazing. It allowed us to use the bucket. We love the bucket. And then even like the animals love the bucket as well. That's scary. This would have scared me as a kid. Just a dark hallway like that. Cave drawing. Oh, we already read this, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We did, just being sure.
No man can own a bucket.
No man can claim it.
Certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
Okay.
It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
So she's trying to drive home the idea that like, we are naive if we thought that the bucket was like a companion. The bucket is our ruler. The bucket is what's controlling us. The bucket's telling us what to do. This blue light was here last time too. What is it? You know what I mean? What is this bucket? This blue light? The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between the bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more than it. There is yet more that it is always out of reach. This is inevitably for our own good. So it's trying to symbolize the idea we can't catch the bucket. It's supposed to be there. We aren't worthy of being able to like actually be close to it. It's a necessary thing in our life, but we can't understand it completely. Do I jump from here? What? I thought we were gonna have to jump or something.
But there is something we can do.
What can we do?
Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Let me know. Oh, you want me to exit the game?
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the
What?
machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful
No
bucket.
way.
We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together.
Oh, well, I guess I'm
Bucket
gonna
takes
do it
place
just to
as
see.
ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world.
What?
A new vision.
Jesus Christ, man. So that museum was maybe a lot smaller. If I missed out on some stuff, it just seemed like there wasn't any other avenue to go. But that ending to me, oh, here we go. We're restarting again. The ending to me there screams the idea that like once again, the bucket is in control of us. That we aren't worthy of the bucket. We can think that we're in control of ourselves and we're in control of the bucket, but the bucket is like controlling us. We aren't even worthy to be around the bucket. But we are lucky to be near the bucket. The bucket is out of our reach. And also, I think as well, you could say that it's also in control of the other narrator too, in my opinion. Because now she even like went from being like save Stanley, save the narrator from this, exit out of the game, to being like the bucket. We need to kill Stanley so the bucket will never be like dirtied by Stanley's hands ever again. He doesn't deserve to have this bucket. So in a way, like I combined it all together with Marielle, holding the bucket and being like, this is, my amazing bucket, or the narrator trying to basically like get the bucket off us, or the other guy who was talking about selling the bucket, but then was like, no, the bucket's amazing, We talked about how the bucket was bad. Then he said he was going to how the bucket was amazing. I really do think the bucket has a power over everybody in this game, not just Stanley. And there we saw that with the other narrator again. Like that museum really felt like it was like whoever created this game was trying to be like, look how amazing the bucket is. It predates even you. And at that point, it even like got control of like as I said, the other narrator. The other narrator was trying to convince us to kill Stanley for the bucket, so the bucket would never fall into our hands again. But does that mean
all of his co-workers were gone?
the other bucket is gone?
What could it mean?
Or the bucket is gone? No, it's
Stanley
not.
decided
Okay.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Elevator
Stanley
ending.
Without the bucket, really Stanley at all?
Oh, stop.
No, surely not.
You know what's so interesting? Because beforehand, I would ask the question in my mind, is the narrator without Stanley? Is Stanley without the narrator? And now it's like without the bucket. Again, I do think the bucket is a little bit of a wedge between Stanley and the narrator. Right? In my opinion, anyway. It's almost like the creator of this whole world put the bucket there to be that wedge.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
So, we'll do the broom clause, I think, as well. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try
Coming
and...
to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
elevator
office.
ending. So, did I miss the computer already? I probably missed the computer. No, it's here. No, there's one here as well. I guess I missed the computer somewhere along. Well, let me just see. Okay, I'm going to start again. Because again, I know there's like other computers we can do to touch all the different computers. But let's just see if there is one along the way.
All of his co-workers were gone.
There's not one here. I
What
know
could
there
it
isn't.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Because it then might be...
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to
Oh?
all buckets everywhere.
Every bucket?
This adventure, he decided, was for all of them. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
Maybe there's one in here? No, maybe I just didn't see a bucket. Maybe that's one of the buckets that will eventually be the ones we can press, is the one in the office, for example.
Still
Yeah, no,
was
there's
here.
no, yeah.
Stanley needed
I mean,
the
computer,
bucket's warmth
bucket?
and comfort now
Did I say,
more
I didn't
than
say bucket, did I? I didn't say bucket, did I? Please say I didn't say bucket. Is this game that meta that I'm calling things buckets now?
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find
Is that what's
answers.
happening to us now?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Please say I didn't say bucket. Please. Please say I didn't say bucket.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned
I think I probably did.
to discover not an indication of any human life.
I think I said bucket.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation,
No.
Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Sure. The bucket has become the bucket. The bucket has become everything. The bucket is everything. Tap. The bucket is our life. The bucket is our blood. The bucket is everything. The bucket is our loved ones. The bucket is everything, is existence. Let's see what happens now.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go
We
back
were
up?
asking the bucket?
When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3.
3?
I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again.
Okay.
The bucket said nothing.
He's like, the bucket ain't responding to you. Once again, the other narrator might say the bucket isn't, we're not worthy of the bucket responding to us. So we have to go back and press the number 3 maybe? Should we try that?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3
Oh
button.
my god, the
Took
enthusiasm
the
of that
bucket over
too.
to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time
Stop.
of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained
The bucket's
silent.
not answering, man.
This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket.
Oh wow.
How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was
He's
to
like, I thought I
him?
knew the bucket.
Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Let's go. So I wonder there with like Stanley looking at the bucket being like, why don't you find this interesting? Is it like one of those situations where like, I don't know, you know when like you're in like you're friends with someone, you hear about the stories like where like it's like, do we have nothing in common? You know, like we look at the bucket. I thought I understood the bucket, but maybe not. Maybe there's something. Maybe I don't understand the bucket as much as I thought I did. Are we worthy of understanding the bucket, huh?
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming.
Again, the question is like, why is the bucket not having as much fun as we are? What, like, and is that making us lose connection with the bucket over that? It feels like that. It's like, you know.
No, said Stanley.
Oh my God, we're trying to convince the bucket.
You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means.
Instead of letting it go.
You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel.
Absolutely rough.
He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Do you think it is like, in a way, it's like Stanley in some way or like feels like a connection to the bucket that's like closer to a kinship than a, you know, it controlling him. And that's where the arrogance that the outer narrator talks about, which is like, you think that you like are with you and the bucket are pals. You think you and the bucket are on the same level. You shouldn't even be near this bucket. The bucket is like controlling you. Or it could be just like a commentary on the fact that like we've gotten to the point like the bucket soothes us so much that we thought that this was like an equal thing where it's like, oh, well, the bucket like soothes me and makes me happy. Why can't I show it the thing that makes the other things that make me happy and make it happy, you know? When really that's kind of like a little bit of delusion talking possibly. You know?
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion.
Like we're really trying to get him passionate about this.
The number 3, like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket
for
a
God.
reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing.
He just wants the bucket's approval so much.
The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all. Only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Oh my God. You know what this also is like calling upon? You know, like, and there's probably sketch comedies out there of like, I've seen some YouTube shorts that do it as well, that like explain it perfectly. You know, the idea of like, when you show someone a video on YouTube and they just don't laugh. You know, I think that comes, you know, I think it's like eventually like it's one of those things where you kind of have to like, you know, realize and think where it's like, you know, just generally not everyone's going to find all your sense of humor funny, you know what I mean? And also you have to understand the room, you know what I mean? It's like you're at a party or something and then someone puts on like a 15-minute YouTube video and goes, man, this is hilarious. And you're like, 15 minutes? And you're like, yeah, like that's okay. And you're like, yeah, sure. And here's the thing, there's a big difference between like if the party vibe is just everyone's chatting, everyone's having a good time, and then you go, watch this, guys, and you put on like a 20-minute video versus you're all sitting together and someone goes, does anyone have any YouTube video to put on we can watch? And there's like, oh yeah, watch this. That's totally different, right? But like you have to understand the vibes of the situation, understand the situation you're in. You know?
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly
for one another?
Not connect with this passion?
Does Stanley think he was here for the bucket?
The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator.
He started to question everything.
He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Is there a solution? Is there something we can think about here that we could do? We're going back up. This is such an interesting ending because this is like Stanley, like for the I'm not questioning the bucket in terms of its power, but it feels like questioning the bucket in terms of like, are we really like, is it really like, you know, on the same wavelength as me in a way? I can hear the other narrator being like, you think you deserve the bucket?
Said Stanley. I know what to do.
What are we doing?
I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart.
Sure.
He decided right then and there that he would hold a press
oh my God, the press conference?
where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him.
All these different endings and stuff.
He felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this.
He desperately wants to impress the bucket, make the bucket happy.
It would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's.
I don't know about that. You know what I mean? It feels like he's trying to look for the bucket's approval in a way, you know? He wants the bucket to feel happy when in reality it's just like, you know, the bucket is there to like satiate us.
He advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
You know what's so funny about these posters again? Like, it's like, you know, the guy who went to Mars, you know, I did that. That was me. And then, like, this one is, like, becomes so common, like, the world's healthiest human being or whatever, all tricks revealed. You don't know how many, like, videos, like, I watch of, like, there's this, like, maybe I'll put his YouTube thing in the description. Like, there's a lot of health scare things that happen nowadays where people go, like, this food is actually bad for you. And then, like, this guy's like, no, you have to eat this food in, like, a ton dosage for this to be bad for you, you know? Like, they're so dangerous. You know what I mean? This all reminds me of. It's like the world's healthiest human being, all the tricks revealed, and you read the tricks, and it's like, they literally want you to, like, never have fun again. They want you to never have fun again. How we did, these posters are crazy. The first time I saw them was actually absolutely crazy. World Peace Baby is nuts. That's like, this like is a Kojima thing. You know what I mean? World Peace Baby. Stanley tonight live on stage. Stanley, yeah, we're going back up. We're going to do a press conference. The world's first sentient machine. 3. Claire Obscura Expedition 33. Haven't played it yet, but people do want me to play it on the channel. 427. Well, that's our door number.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
And all the happy postings are all 3 now. 3 again, the Stanley story. That's a real cool suitcase. Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from, your co-workers, because we're doing the press conference again. And then it's like eyeball. I think this is definitely like supposed to be like a big brother eyeball, right? For sure. For sure. For sure, that's what it is. Doing great. A conversation with the great Alexander the Great. Let's not. What's I say? The Lord. Meet and greet. Is it going to end? Oh.
There was no one here.
Oh.
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear
Oh,
Stanley
no.
speak. To listen to him talk about what it really means.
No,
Press
no,
the
no.
number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting. He was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
Stop. He's looking so
There
badly
would
for the
be
approval of
no
this bucket.
connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less.
I think
Neither wishing
oh
to
my
state
God.
the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations.
I don't think we ever did have those long conversations.
Pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship,
You need to stop.
was cast back into the unremarkable
Oh, this makes me kinda
normalcy
sick.
of loneliness.
It's a very rough way of doing that. Now for me, like, just in general, seeing no one come to anyone's event or press conference, that makes me like, unless it's like a bad person, of course, but like it makes me instantly go like, oh, that's horrible. Wait, what? What did it say? The bucket did not react. Okay, so I think that we always have a very interesting habit of like doing things that like I think it's not like even just like it's up to chance, but I feel like a lot of the roots and endings really work well with each other. So it's not a thing where it's like I just randomly I'm so lucky to choose roots that work well with each other. I just think a lot of roots do work well with each other. And to me, like, I think it's so interesting to go from the second narrator saying that we aren't worthy of this bucket to then going to this thing where we're trying to impress the bucket and like get the approval of the bucket, but we just can't get the approval of the bucket. And this delusional feeling that we were close with the bucket, that the bucket and I was friends with us, that the bucket cared about us. We had these long nights talking to the bucket. I really think Stanley was convinced, and maybe the narrator too, convinced that we were having those long conversations with the bucket. And I don't believe we were. I personally don't believe we were. I think that what they were trying to showcase at the end there was that kind of like in the last one, it's like, Stanley, what's good is the bucket if Stanley's going to die anyway? And it's like, what good is the satiating bucket if we have no like actual, companionship or something to talk to or someone to talk to or someone to be that person in our life that can like, share in our interests. We tried so hard to gain the approval of this bucket only to like realize that the bucket, doesn't care, or can't care in some cases. And I think it's like one of those things where it's like a misinterpretation of a relationship where it's like, Stanley thinks that the bucket is there to be a companion to him, to be a friend, to be someone that he can, because it gives him warmth and gives him happiness. But the reality is, and from my perspective, the bucket is there to satiate him and keep him there and keep him, quote unquote, like comfortable and happy, right? Not happy, but keep him like feeling like he needs the bucket, right? So it is like this misinterpretation of a relationship in a very, very painful way where it's kind of like, I thought I meant more to this bucket, but in the reality, the bucket just can't talk back to Stanley. We saw in previous routes as well, the narrator had to talk for the bucket at some points too. It is definitely 100%, trying to call upon that as well, in my opinion. The idea of like, the only time we're ever truly communicating with the bucket in any way is when the narrator is speaking for us still. To me, it is like the misinterpretation of the relationship, but also it's Stanley kind of like expecting more from the idea of this bucket than what it is. The bucket, again, is like this addiction, is this thing that satiates us, that keeps us like, content and happy in those spaces so that we probably don't try to leave again or whatever. Even when we try to escape and we let the bucket escape, we did it because we love the bucket. Stanley loves his bucket, but really does the bucket love us back, or is it a thing where the bucket, is controlling us? Yeah, I think that's like what my whole thing is, that like this is trying to showcase that like as much as like we feel like the bucket loves us, as much as Stanley feels like the bucket needs him as well, and just like the other narrator said, the bucket is there to like control us. The bucket isn't there to be our friend, and that's what I got from that route as well, is that the bucket is meant to be a controlling figure, not our best friend. Okay. Next up,
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm jumping over the Wayland.
What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today?
Bucket-loving heroes? I'm jumping over the railing this time again with the bucket. So we go left again up to the office again?
The bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if there's any computers on this route as well. Is there? Should we do like one quick run through and see if there's any computers this way? There's one in the office, and if not, we'll just begin again, and it'll take 2 seconds. It'll take 2 seconds, and then we'll do the jump over the railing ending.
The bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
That's the best way to go about it. Yeah, these endings still keep getting like are so interesting to me and so great at what they do. I was thinking maybe there's a computer in this office, possibly.
To go back to the meeting room.
Is there a computer up there? Is there a computer down there? I don't. Maybe you know what? Actually, maybe in some cases we can't use the bucket to get it, right? Maybe in some cases we just can't. Maybe we have to drop the bucket sometimes.
Maintenance section and walk straight ahead to the opposite door.
Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe we have to not have the bucket to get some of these computers, because there's some doors we can't go through, like the red and blue door.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
I'm gonna jump over the railing.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
See, this one here is what I was thinking of as well. I think even someone mentioned that there'd be other like ones along the way to the office as well. But I'm wondering if that's later or if it's now.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
So...
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes.
I don't know how many endings we've gotten or how many endings are left, but right now, like, I'm still just like it's, to me, like, to describe how good this game is, by the way, this is, I will put this in the category where it's the type of game that, like, as I said, I started off really liking, I grew to, like, really love it, and now I locked in my love with this game forever from the bucket endings. And what I love about this as well is that I have the same feeling as well as I play, like, games like a Stardew Valley or like a how to say, like a game that has like a very smooth way of moving around it, that like there's like every day when you wake up it's like this is like the easiest thing in the world to play. Like even though there's like it's very confusing, the gameplay itself is what I'm talking about. It's so easy to play. It's so, I'm not saying Stardew Valley's easy, by the way. I'm saying that like it's like there's a weird casualness to the gameplay that's so fun. It's so fluid and so simple.
Straight ahead through the
you know?
door that
Does that make sense?
Mind control facility.
Mind control facility. Jumping over the railings. Look at me. Look at me go.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark.
Oh, so we're saying
below.
we tripped this time. It's no longer like
he fell directly onto the bucket,
a fun minigame thing.
Cushioned his fall. Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here.
Wait, so we're like, now it's, again, it went from being this meta thing where it's like, oh, like this is a glitch that people used last time, let's add some music, to being like, again, with the bucket, it's like there's a story to it. The bucket has made this important once again, you know? Not that it wasn't important before.
So they set up a little couch and relaxed.
What?
It really wasn't so bad down here. A bit cold, perhaps.
I'm not saying the other ending wasn't important, but I'm saying that the other ending definitely was just like a little fun nod to the fans, right? Where in this case, it really feels like because the bucket's here, they have to do something for the bucket, you know? They have to. Huh?
After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well.
Oh my god, we're building a home together.
That was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel
the music here as well, this homely music.
After some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind
oh my god, we even have like fine china.
He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning.
We've become a withdrawn partner.
Settled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this.
What? We've changed as a person?
Again and again, but to no avail.
So now the bucket's trying to reach out to us? I don't think so.
All he could talk about was going back, doing it over again.
So our mind has become so occupied. Isn't that interesting that this is one of those few times where like the bucket can't even get through to us? Our mind is so fixated on the mind control facility.
It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending.
Stop.
This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True.
This music is incredible, by the way.
But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on.
Oh, it's what the bucket was counting on?
For a very long time.
The second last line there, it's what the bucket was counting on, is such a, to me, such an important line. Because to me, it's like our mind started to shift away from the bucket. It started to focus on instead the idea of the of our feelings about the mind control facility, right? That we wanted to find out the secrets here. Then again, that it's like almost like, to me, it's like almost like the narrator is like our ex partner and the bucket's our new partner, and we're like sitting there kind of like, oh man, you know, not saying I would do this, because it's obviously like if you're thinking about someone else, you should probably like, you know, tell your partner and leave. You know, you don't want to. That's unfair on them, right? Of course. But I'm saying like in an analogy where it's like we can't stop thinking about that other person, but then the bucket's kind of like, I don't want them thinking about the mind control facility, so I can only count on the fact that at some point this will become an ending. So that means it will bring meaning to this, so that this will all restart and we won't be thinking about the mind control facility again. That's once again how this felt like again. It was like the bucket hoping and praying that it got meaning and it got an ending, so we would stop thinking about something other than the bucket.
He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
What are you talking about? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why would you do that? Why would you say that? Why would they do that?
Now this, Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was.
Is that just a joke that he made to kill me? To make me feel strange?
Stanley clutched
That
the
is
bucket
so
tightly to his
horrible.
chest.
That's the most afraid I've been in this game ever. I literally was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Still no one was here.
Did you see it?
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth.
Did you see I did the horror movie thing, is the horror game thing when you do this, when like when someone says turn around, you go like this?
He'd find answers.
Like that instead?
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
Oh my God.
You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy.
Wait, the
It's as
broom
clear
closet's
as day.
jealous of
This
us?
broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in.
This is
Don't
again. This is how
hand
this
over
has
the
changed
bucket. I
again.
know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has
The broom
sunk,
closet
that it
is
has to resort to
antagonistic
this
to
stream
us.
of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends.
I agree. I
That
agree,
your
broom closet. I
relationship is purely
agree.
superficial and convenient. That your life is so banal and meaningless that
Oh,
you
the
feel
game
same
kind of brings
sort
up those
kinship
ideas.
towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner. Well,
Oh, no.
never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it.
What?
Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments.
I do think that there is like a comment that they could make in this game is the idea that like that Stanley's mundane life and his like life of like, you know, no understanding, like, you know, that rat race, the hamster wheel, finding this bucket and this inanimate object to make him feel whole again is a really sad idea, but like it does make sense in some ways in the theme of the story. And the narrator just saying it like this is actually kind of hurtful.
Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich
journal
emotional
entries?
landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
I don't think we could do that. Do you want to say something for me?
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all.
Okay.
Here we go. There. Now it's settled.
What?
No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical
Oh, Property of
diatribes
Stanley. I was like,
about
where
the
is
nature
it?
of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
So what's so interesting about this too is again we were told that this bucket is not our property, but in
All
this
right, I've
case,
got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate.
sure.
You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also
Now it's more
a
focused on the stickers.
bucket.
But what I meant was like the idea that like, you know, not only talking about how we have a love for an inanimate object or we rely on an object that's not real, like also this idea that we think we own the bucket. You know what I mean? That we think it's our property. That we think it's something that like that we can own. And even now they're saying even like the broom closet loves this.
That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, It's a bucket.
So we know it's a bucket?
There's a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us a silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display.
Because you're the one.
You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in.
This is actually pretty great, though.
I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
It's to me, it's a combination of things of like the adding to the idea of the broom closet wants the bucket, so everyone wants the bucket. It's also once again like trying to like talk about how Stanley is just not in the right mind, right? He's talking to inanimate objects. He's also listening to the narrator, who also is probably not in his right mind. You know, possibly. And again, you could say that this place is alive, but you could also say that as well. There's another perspective. You could say, well, the narrator also thinks the broom closet's alive, and it makes sense that the broom closet would be a place where a bucket would go. So it's also an interesting thing that we're fighting against the natural order of things, where we shouldn't be just carrying around this bucket and like, you know, loving this bucket. The bucket belongs in a different place than in our arms. So if you go over here,
Coming to a stick.
I'm going to begin the game again and see if anything else happens to the broom closet. Because remember, it was like 3 times, I think, last time.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it?
What are you talking about?
Is this Stanley's office?
What are you doing now? What are you doing? What are you doing? I think it's just little quips he says each time, but like... Oh, now the bucket has the sticker on it.
Finally,
But it is kind of scary.
Yes, the bucket. Yes. I love that bucket.
Let's go back to that broom closet. You know what I mean? It is kind of scary the way he like, phrases things now.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps, Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be...
He's like, I'd do the ending with you, but come on.
Alas, no stickers.
No stickers? Not one? Yeah, I wonder if this is actually all we get. We'll do it one more time after this just in case, but like, it generally feels like, you know, he's kind of like, you know, in a very meta way again, he's like, dude, like, we have nothing else here. You got it closed down last time, come on. Like, why are you trying to do this again? Okay, I'm guessing this is another... Yeah, because usually they wouldn't leave it that long. So let's try it one more time. We'll try one more time to see if there's anything else there. If not... Oh, please don't say anything else weird.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great.
Now
he
it's
thought
just
to
changing
himself.
every time.
This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
So we wanted to be alone? I don't think so.
One man, one bucket.
There's so many of these
one
lines.
chance to seize their destiny together.
Let's go back to the broom closet.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I don't know if it's going to be closed off this time or we'll see what
Still no one
happens.
was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Stanley, we must move on from this
Okay,
broom
that's the
closet.
end of it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We have the ending of that type of thing with the broom closet this time. And also, I guess we have like the ending of this episode as well, which I found it to be another like very eye-opening, but also very like interesting and sometimes scary episode. The voice lines that change over time, that change over time, like actually became more and more like scary as time went on. Like it was actually kind of like spooky. Like the line about it not being our office or just something behind us that we're happy to be alone. Those lines like kind of freaked me out like a lot there. But in terms of the endings we got here, the first ending we got was the museum ending. And this time it was a museum just for buckets and to show how amazing the bucket was. But the reason why it changed this time from the last museum ending is because the last museum ending, it felt like we separated ourselves from this world and like we were like, you know, separated from Stanley and the narrator. The narrator, the other narrator, the new narrator was kind of telling us to kind of like, hey, like help Stanley and the narrator out of this by just exiting the game. And we've kind of felt like throughout this whole entire game that the bucket is trying to keep us within the game. As compared to like, before when we tried to escape or we tried to end the loops, it really feels like the bucket is trying to keep us there. And we see that later on in another route in this episode too. It felt like what happened there was the new narrator was also so enamored with the bucket that they changed their tune from like, you got to get out of here to, you don't deserve the bucket. And the only way to truly save this bucket is to kill Stanley, because this bucket is so amazing that he doesn't deserve to have it, right? He thought that he was so good that he could even compare to this bucket. He thought that he deserved this bucket. And it's so interesting because this idea is backed up by the idea again, like these buckets are very controlling. They are something that satiate you, that keep you happy, that keep you content. They're like a drug. We saw this with Marielle. We saw this with our narrator. We saw this with the other narrator. We saw this with the guy in the heard this with the guy in the tape. Now, technically, with the broom closet as well, if you want to believe that the broom closet also wants the bucket, there is a big theme in this game that everybody wants that bucket. And now, even the other narrator is saying that, like, you think that you're friends with this bucket. You think that you're in control of this bucket. You think that you deserve to be around this bucket, when in reality, the bucket is your boss. The bucket controls everything. The bucket's amazing. You're not amazing. The bucket's amazing. And that adds to the next route we got, which was the elevator one. And the reason why I think that adds to it is because I think Stanley genuinely misinterpreted his relationship with the bucket. And I think that can happen with anything that like is something that feels like it is so good and so amazing for you that it isn't always going to be amazing for you. I think what he realized in that moment, or was starting, maybe didn't realize in the end, but like at least like he was, he had this feeling, at least the feeling I was getting from it was he thought that he had a relationship with the bucket that was like a 50-50. We love each other. We get along so well. This is amazing. But when he tried to show the bucket something that he cared about, which was the number 3, everything changed. All of a sudden, everything shifted to like, wait, why isn't this bucket laughing with me? And it went from you. And here's the thing: in any healthy relationship, this is what happens when you find out your partner doesn't laugh at your jokes, right? You know what happens? Oh, okay. I thought you'd find that funny, but yeah, it's okay. This is just not your humor. That's cool. Right? And you move on. But in Stanley's mind, it kind of almost, it didn't shatter the glass, but it had someone like tapping on the glass where the glass started to crack. Where he started to realize now, okay, something that I thought that we were on the same wavelength. I thought that you understood. I have to make the bucket understand. And instead of like, here's the thing, it's already unhealthy that having this bucket anyway, right? It's already super unhealthy. But I think also now it's even more unhealthy because Stanley now holds this bucket and thinks that it's an equal partnership. And instead of just like, moving on and being like, okay, the bucket, doesn't find my jokes funny. Not only does he believe the bucket is a 50-50 partnership with him, but he also believes as well that he has to convince the bucket. I have to have the bucket laugh at the same jokes I do and care about the same stuff I do because I want them to truly understand me. The bucket doesn't answer. The bucket doesn't say anything back. The bucket doesn't give a damn. The bucket doesn't care. The bucket doesn't really, is there for one reason. In my opinion, it's there to satiate us. It's there to keep us happy and keep us contained. And there's so many endings to back up that idea, in my opinion, as well. That Stanley can't understand the idea that this isn't just the bucket has control over us. The bucket has taken control of us. He can't understand that. So instead of just trying to compartmentalize that, he like does everything in his power with the help of the narrator as well to convince this bucket and to get on the same wavelength in the bucket. But in the end, he just feels alone. He has picked up this inanimate object thinking that this is going to be the thing that keeps him happy. When in reality, it's there to keep him content and in a happy, everything's rose-tinted state. And it isn't always like that because sometimes it malfunctions and sometimes we get out of that situation. But in a lot of ways, this is the one ring that keeps telling us that you are right. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Stay with me. Don't worry about the narrator. Don't worry about all this stuff. Whoever created this game implemented the bucket in such a way that it feels like that's what the bucket is for. And I do see it as a wedge between him and the narrator in a way that's trying to push the narrator to always go along with the bucket's ideas. But then we saw another ending there where we jumped over the railing and we created this life for ourselves with the bucket. Again, unhealthy. It's so unhealthy for what he does there. But the reason why that ending is so interesting is because he started to realize, oh my God, what originally was so amazing to me about the Stanley parable is that I get to like find out all these mysteries with me and the narrator. Me and the narrator were finding all these mysteries together. What's the secret behind this? What's the secret behind that? And he starts to drive him mad because it's something that's on his mind completely. The bucket, however, realizes he's losing control of Stanley. He doesn't recognize Stanley anymore. And he begs and prays for the idea that this would become an ending. So at least then they can loop back and get him out of this idea. Because I think that's the closest Stanley, I think, has gotten to really being like with the bucket, but not all about the bucket. He was more about the mind control facility and finding out the secrets and actually playing the game in that way. So the bucket kind of like, it felt like the bucket like, and whoever's controlling the bucket in that way, reset the game completely to be like, no. But it seemed like as well, like the bucket, it has a sentience to it in some way, because the bucket was praying for that ending. It was praying that an ending would happen, and it did happen. And that's what it feels like to me anyway. That's what it feels like to me, is that the bucket was like hoping and praying for an ending because they didn't want Stanley to go out of line and step out of the line. And then the broom closet was just like a really funny thing about like the broom closet being something, again, to me it calls upon the idea that Stanley is doing something that's very unusual, very weird. It's supposed to be in somewhere like a broom closet or a closet, but it's in our arms, and the broom closet insulting us, and again, ironically sticking stickers on the bucket so we know that it's a bucket. Remember that what you're looking at is a bucket. And also at the same time too, it's like property of Stanley, because we were told before this isn't our property, but we can think it is, right? Of course it's our property. It's either our property, it's a 50-50 relationship, or it's a thing where like the bucket just soothes us. It's just something we like to have around with us, but in reality I really feel like it is the bucket controls us. But I think that was just supposed to be like more of one of the funnier endings, but I think we can find meaning in any funny ending, 100%, because I do think there's meaning in even the funny endings. And that to me was just trying to showcase that we have the bucket when it's supposed to be somewhere way more normal than in our arms. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. I found this to be, once again, such an interesting story and interesting few routes. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this too. Please let me know. And I don't know how many more episodes are left, but again, I want to kind of explore as much as possible, at least all the fun ones we could do. I reacted in Roma Reacts. You can check it out there to the full baby ending. Not the full ending. It wasn't 4 hours. It was just like kind of like, a cut down version of it. You can check that out as well. I'll put that in the description, actually. Thank you so much to Tyfire 2, Jamie Bull, Johnny the Banana, The Ghost of Inazuma, Felicious Felix, Yuld, Radish Anusta, Lynx Marky, Assassin, Tyfire 2, Jamie Bull, Johnny the Banana, The Ghost of Inazuma, Felicious Felix, Yuld, Radish Anusta, Lynx Marky, Assassin, True Peanut Butter, Peter Shelson, Liam, High Kasperian, Jared Beanham, and at the highest tier of my YouTube, Roy Gimma 7, Blasco, and Lucinagi. See you guys so soon. Bye-bye.